are silent. Also no flash photography during the press conference. And if you are joining us via Zoom, use the raise hand function if you have a question. All right, we're joined now by the Michigan State Spartans. They are the number 9 seed in the Albany 1 region. They went 22-8 overall this season, 12-6 in the Big Ten. Joined today by head coach Robin Freilich and student athletes Julia Aralt and Moira Joyner. Coach, if you would, please make an opening statement.
Yeah, we're thrilled to be here. What an opportunity to be playing in March Madness. I know we're really looking forward to this. I'm proud of our group for the season. I think something that stood out about us was our consistency throughout the year and throughout a really Big Ten conference play. So looking forward to the opportunity in front of us tomorrow.
And with that, we'll open up for questions just for the student athletes at this time. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. Joe in the front with the first question.
I'll ask both athletes more if you want to lead off. Last time the team made the tournament, it was kind of that weird COVID season where it wasn't really the full experience. So for you both, to be able to make it back and have kind of the full experience this time around, how does it feel for you both?
I think it's so cool, and for this being my last season, obviously a big goal was to make it back here, and I'm excited to already see the differences because, again, the last time we were here was COVID year, and that was a crazy tournament to be in. Yeah, and I'm just hoping for a better result this year.
Julia?
Same thing. We're really excited to be here. Obviously, it's been a couple years since we've been in the tournament, so we're definitely excited to be back in and kind of just have the season that we had. We're very excited about it and looking forward to tomorrow for sure.
Pete?
Pete Acabelli, Associated Press, for both Julia and Moira. I guess you've gotten a crash course in North Carolina the last couple of days. What have you seen from them on tape, and what gives you concerns and challenges for tomorrow's game?
Julia, would you take that first, please?
We've dove into them a little bit. It's exciting to kind of focus on somebody else. We've had a couple weeks since we played, and we've got a lot of time to kind of focus on us, which has been great for us, I think. Just kind of spend some time working on stuff and working on ourselves, and then with just diving into them, I think just some excitement to get to play somebody else and focus on another team and kind of their abilities and kind of the things that they're good at. So I think it's been good for us to look into them and focus on somebody else.
Moira?
Yeah, I think in any game we're going to go into, especially in the tournament, we're going to be the smaller team, so we have to look at what advantages we have. And, yeah, I think North Carolina's a great team. They bring a lot to the table, but, again, like Julia said, just excited to play somebody new.
Joe?
I guess diving into the game itself, matchup-wise, I'll start with you, Moira, if you want to talk about kind of the perimeter play that you're going to be facing with UNC and how you feel you and your fellow guards and perimeter players kind of match up. I
think that just our MO for all, the whole season about our team is we're fast. We have our transition is fast. We bring a lot of speed to the table. So I think that's really what we're going to be focused on. But we need to get rebounds and stops first to do that. And them being bigger, boxing out is a key to this game.
Let's go to Pete.
I know you guys aren't satisfied with where satisfied with what you've accomplished already, but to think about 22 wins in a Big Ten conference that was absolutely loaded this year, that's got to be quite an achievement that you guys have kind of worked and gotten to this point.
Julie, you want to take that?
Yeah, I think kind of like you said, we're definitely not satisfied. We're obviously really proud of the season that we've had, and I think just kind of looking back on it, we had a lot of fun this season, I would say. I think, when you're having fun playing basketball and it's a game that you love, it's really easy to do well. And so I think we've had a ton of fun this season. We've really enjoyed our time, and I know we're looking forward to continuing to play together and kind of not being done yet for sure.
Moira, do you have anything to
add? Yeah, I think we're obviously happy to be here, but not necessarily satisfied yet, right? And people can still count us out and whatever they want to do. That's fine. They'll put a chip on our shoulders, and we'll go into the game like we normally do.
Joe?
For Julia, I know you've already mentioned kind of the size difference maybe with, especially in the post. Is there a Big Ten team that you kind of compare North Carolina's personnel to that maybe you can kind of reflect back on to get you prepared for this game?
I mean, I don't know if there's necessarily a specific team. I think kind of we're undersized for the most part this year, and that's kind of something we're used to. And I think we've done a good job making adjustments and kind of playing to our strengths. Mo touched on kind of the speed being one of our top priorities and strengths. So I think that's something we're going to continue to focus on, and just kind of when we are undersized, just knowing that we have other advantages that we can take advantage of, and kind of just focus on those things.
Other questions? Joe?
I guess I'll wrap up with this. I always like to put the players on the spot with the coach in the room. Can you talk a little bit about your coach and what she's been able to bring to the program here in her first year, being able to lead you guys back to the postseason? What has she meant to you guys, obviously, as veterans of the program, to see this growth in year one?
Julie, you want to take that?
I would say Coach Freilich means everything to us. She's really done such a great job. I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot of words to describe kind of everything she's done for us as humans and as basketball players as well. But I would say, I know I kind of talk on it a lot, but just like the relationship aspect and how important, she places on the relationship she has with us and everybody in her program. And I think it makes us all really close and trust each other more. And I think it really shows on the floor with our connectiveness and kind of just the things that stand out with our togetherness, and just I think the priority she puts on that just makes us better for sure.
Moira?
Yeah, I think Coach Freilich has done a great job this year coming in and trusting us, but also trusting the process of coaching changing and a new conference. There's a lot of things that were thrown at her this year, and she just took it with stride and just trusted our team, and she was consistent every day. And I think that was shown through how we play as well. I feel like what your coach is typically how the team is, and she's really helped us grow this last year, and I'm really thankful for her to be here.
Let's go middle back.
Dalton Shetler, Spartan Media Network. Mo and Julia talked about, obviously, you still have goals in front of you. This isn't all there is, but it talked about the coaching change coming into this offseason. You had lost your two leading scorers. There was all this uncertainty, and you two as captains made the goal to get back to this moment, to get back to the tournament. What was the belief then, and now that you've actually gotten to this point where you're getting ready to tip off and you're answering questions, what does it mean to actually see that vision kind of fulfill itself?
Moira, would you take that first?
I just think it's something we've talked about for a while, and it's just I've been motivated the last 2 weeks. We've had a lot of time off, and I think that's been great for our team, like Julia touched on before. But it's kind of surreal, but it's extremely exciting, and I'm just motivated for the game tomorrow and the run we can make as a team. And yeah, I'm just so excited.
Yeah, I would say obviously we're really proud of everything, and I think Coach Freilich made it pretty easy to kind of, when we came to her with our goals and things we wanted to accomplish this season, she was like, let's do it. She was just down for everything and down to help us in any way we needed, extra workouts, or just kind of the belief that she had in us and our goals really helped too, just because we knew that we had a coaching staff that was really just willing to dive into it with us and give it our all. So I think that really helped too.
Any other questions for the student athletes? Seeing none, you all can go back to the locker room if you like. And the
Thank
locker
you.
room remains open at this time.
A little bit.
And we'll take questions now for Coach Freilich. Again, raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. Let's go to Pete here in the front.
Robin, Courtney told us this morning that you and she are friendly and we're texting each other. So did you come in knowing a little bit more about North Carolina because maybe you paid some attention to them this year because, you have a friend coaching them?
Not as well as I needed to know them, but they are a team that I pay attention to because she is a good friend in coaching, so she's someone I reach out to when they have big wins and congratulate. And clearly she's done a really, really good job there. So, yeah, we kind of laughed, of all the bracketologies, I don't think one of them had us matched up, and we were kind of, actually, I talked to her last night, we were laughing last night about, well, here we are. I was like, well, normally I'd be cheering for you, but, not this game.
Let's go to Joe and then Pete.
Coach, this is a true 8-9 game. Obviously, the seeding, being whatever, but a toss-up. What do you think is going to be the key to find success tomorrow and be able to impose your will against North Carolina?
Yeah, an interesting matchup. Pretty contrasting styles of play for being a really tough, even matchup in a lot of ways. I think what stood out about them is they've been really, really tough defensively. I think they've kind of found their niche with changing up defenses and using their size and length. And, they have 3 players that they've really counted on a lot on the offensive end consistently. But I think a big thing is it is for most games for us. We've got to find ways. We got to keep them off the glass. I thought in our Big Ten tournament that really hurt us. We got to find ways to score. They've really grinded out some wins. And then their big 3, we got to find ways to slow them. Their whole team's good, but there's 3 that I think have really counted on the offensive end. So we got to find ways to try to slow them down.
Pete.
Yeah, just a couple. I wanted to just know how you and Courtney got to become friendly, and then I wanted to ask something that I asked the players. In this season of the Big Ten, where you can go on and on about Iowa and Ohio State, and Michigan, and Nebraska,
Yeah.
and that you guys were able to achieve 22 wins and get back to the tournament. That must be quite an achievement.
Yeah, the Big Ten is incredible basketball, and women's basketball is incredible basketball. I think it's as good as it's ever been. What was the first part of the question?
You and Courtney.
Yeah, me and Courtney. So kind of a funny story. I was a Division II head coach at Ashland University, and at that time she was at Princeton. And I don't know if it was through a coaching convention or just a mutual respect. We became coaching buddies, and part of it at that time was we were both coaching teams that were winning on a really high level and consistent basis. And okay, how do you maintain that? How do you keep your team sharp? And then when I took over at Bowling Green, it was around the same time she took over at North Carolina. So then we were both entering new spots with new challenges and what that looked like. And once a month we would connect and kind of talk through how would you handle this, how would you handle this, how would you handle this. And now here we sit today. So now we're both trying to figure out how to beat each other. So the coaching, that's what makes the coaching world great. As competitive as we are, we need each other. I think she's one of the best coaches in the country and the best leaders, and she's been a good friend, and I think we've both learned a lot from each other.
Have you guys played each other before?
We've never played each other. Yeah.
Let's go back to Joe.
I asked the players, but I'll flip it back on you as the coach. Can you kind of speak to what Julia and Moira have meant to the program to be able to have that veteran presence, in-state kids that have really meant a lot to your team to help you as a first-year coach kind of get the flow going faster?
Well, something I love to share with my opportunity to come in and when you coach a new team, there's just so many things that take time, right? Trust, belief, standards, expectations, all of those. There's just a left step, right step, right? Left step, right step. And I give them a lot of credit for stepping right along. I think it's easy in a world to pause or hesitate, and they've kept stepping forward with us. And I think what's been really fun is we've done it together, and we've both had a lot of things to learn, but we've really been in it as a staff and as a team together. But something I absolutely love, and I was born and raised in Okemos, East Lansing, so I grew up going to Breslin. I grew up playing at halftime of the Breslin games, and they grew up being Spartans. And I think something that I have just loved about this team is I coach a bunch of Spartans. In a world where the athletic landscape is consistently changing, I coach kids who love Michigan State and who play like they love Michigan State. And these two are a perfect example of that. They've been through injuries, they've been through coaching changes, they've been through COVID, and they still chose Michigan State every day. And they chose it at a high level this year, and they gave us our best. It's easy to come back. I say it's easy just to come back, right? Nowadays we have 5th year, 6th year, 7th year, 8. There's so many because of all the sort of nuances of this time. And they chose to come back and they chose to get better. And I think that really stands out.
Let's go back to Pete.
You know, obviously considering the season you've had, I mean, being a first-year coach, getting the NCAA tournament, that's not a usual accomplishment. No matter what happens tomorrow, win or lose, do you feel like you guys are ahead, your program's ahead of schedule, and what can it mean that simply that you're here for Michigan State going forward?
It's an interesting question, and I've been asked that a good number of times this year, and I don't know if I've had a schedule. I think that, you know, I tell our team all the time, if we let somebody else write our story, we wouldn't be sitting here. Because a lot of people had a lot of opinions on probably where we would be, and, you know, if they did a preset season vote on all the teams in the Big Ten, they just do it on the top 5. You know, that's the power of writing your own story. So do I think these kids thought they'd sit here? I do, because they worked in a way to have that happen. And I think you work in a way to do things if you believe they can happen, if you believe that it's true. So schedule, I don't know. I mean, I've always just coached in a way of, it sounds so simple and it's so hard to do, of how do we consistently get better.
Joe?
It's a little atypical to have 2 weeks between game days. Kind of reflecting back on those 2 weeks now as you get ready for tomorrow,
Yeah.
What do you think is the most beneficial part of those 2 weeks for you guys as a program?
Mm-hmm. We get a little time to rest. We haven't played, you know, we play 7 kids a lot of minutes, but we haven't played a huge bench this year. So you get a little time to rest, you get a little time to refocus, and then you get time on Michigan State. So for a week, you don't talk about anybody but you. And I think that's a really important thing, especially this time of year when you come out of conference play and you're kind of loaded with game after game. And then a new opponent. You know, once you're in conference play, it's the second time you've played, it's the third time. So just to be able to focus on a new team and kind of figure out what are the things we need to prepare this week. And I know we're all excited to play a game.
Pete?
Robin, there's so many challenges in this era of college basketball that you guys are facing with. I'm sure when you were at Bowling Green, you know, there was terrific players who then, you know, moved on elsewhere because Power Fives noticed them and things like that. How do you navigate that? Does it make the job any less fun between the portal and NIL and some of the things we face today?
I mean, I think we're in a world of constantly adapting. I think that's important, period, right? The game's changed, too. We can talk about the portal and NIL, et cetera, but the actual game of basketball continues to evolve. So I think if you choose this profession, you choose the ability to adapt, right? You choose the ability. I listened to a podcast a while ago, and something I heard it really stuck out to me was if you choose coaching, you choose problem solving, right? Get into coaching if you love problem solving. So I think that's part of it. I think it's also what makes it invigorating is that we're kind of always trying to figure out the best ways to do things for our program.
Any other questions for Coach Freilich? Seeing none, you can go back to the locker room, Coach. Good luck tomorrow.
Glad to see the guys won.